Welcome to the class 2 of Python course. This class will be studying variables and data types and typecasting. Now in the previous class we have studied, I introduced myself and told you about this skill acquisition matrix to make learning programming or any skill a habit instead of a rushed race. Then we installed the softwares Python, VS Code, Miniconda, and you wrote your first program by typing a built-in function print, then parentheses, inverted commas, your name, and is mastering Python. On my VS Code screen, I click on run and it shows Hamad is mastering Python. Now you can zoom in out this VS Code window and you can also clear this terminal window. And I'll show you at the end how to do that. Now let's move on to today's contents of the second class. And first of all, we have the comments. Comments are not part of the code, but they are used to describe a line of code. It makes it easier for other programmers to understand your code, or you can remind yourself about anything you want to update a code or a part of the code. The code lines are executed in ascending order, means that first this line will be executed and then secondly this one and so on. And if we want to keep a part or a line of code, but we don't want to execute it, we use hash for a single line to comment out or triple commas for multiple lines of code. In this way, the code will still be there, but it will not run. So you have this line of code, print Hamad is mastering Python world. Why I have written Python world? It should be Python. Now if I write second line of code, print hello world, and then write another line of code, comments in Python. So if I run this code, you will see the first line I executed it, Hamad is mastering Python. Second line is hello world, and the third line comments in Python. So if I don't want to run this line of code, what I will do, I'll simply type hash in front of it. It's not running now. If I run it again, you will only see Hamad is mastering Python and comments in Python. As I mentioned earlier, triple commas for multiple lines of code. So if I place 3 commas here and 3 commas in the beginning, it will comment out the whole code. And if I run it now, there's nothing. It's empty space here. So in this way, you can make use of the comments. Now let's move on to the next one. That is the variables, class 02 underscore variables. And make sure to add the extension, which I did not add, .py. I need to use the new Python file. Now let's go to the variables. Okay, so what are variables? In Python, a variable is a name assigned to an object, which can be a value, a list, a string, a tuple, or a set. If I have to define it simply, variables are boxes which are used to store data. There is different variable for storing numbers, for storing text data, for storing float data. We'll see in a minute. And variables are used to perform calculations, to import and name the data. And variables are easy to declare in Python. So let's declare our first variable, that is x equals 5. So x is a variable with integer data type. Let's declare another variable. Let's name it y, inverted commas. Now this is string. X equals 5 to store a number. Then y is equal to inverted commas hello to store as text. Now here are some rules for the variables. First of all, use small case letters, such as instead of using data like this, and you know that when you're going to write a huge amount of code, then using this going to be a headache. So instead use this data in this way. Secondly, don't use space, instead use an underscore. For example, if I want to declare, use underscore, right? Data underscore 1 is equal to rules for variables. The next thing, don't use special characters such as hash, @ or any other sign like a minus sign. Don't use special characters. Like for example, if you see here, I write data like this. It's making it blue, and it's calling some inbuilt function. So don't use special characters. The next one is use numbers in the middle or at the end, not at the start. So if I type like this, it's again going to cause problem. So make sure to not use number at the end. But if I use the number at the end, it is allowing me use it. Okay, the next thing we have is short and descriptive names for the variables. So we have fighter jets like F-86, MiG-15, MiG-17, F-16. So simply type descriptive names so you remember them, such as Jet 1. It showed us a short and descriptive names for your variables. So these are some of the rules for the variables. While declaring, so remember them. Now we'll talk about the data types. Below are the data types in Python that you will use for future operations. And we can check those data types by typing print type and x. So x is equal to 5 gives us the data type for integers. Y is equal to 5.1. This is for floats. Floats means that for the decimal numbers. Z is equal to hello there world, and this will give us a string. A is equal to a list of integers. So this is a list variable. Next one, we have a list of string. So there are multiple names inside a string. So it's a list of strings. If we have numbers like 1, 2, 3, it's a tuple. If we have a string and along with a number, so I took Alex and took its height 5.5. Then William, its height 5.8. Then Andrew and its height 5.11. Then it's a dictionary. And if we have a set with these parentheses, and if we have a variable with these parentheses, and 1, 2, 3 the number, then it's called a set which we have studied in the maths. So if I declare this variable, now let's check all of these variables. Now here I have a variable for an integer data type by typing print type x. And if I run the code, it shows us the class is integer. Now let's move on to the next one. We type here boy and then run it. It shows us the class is float. The float is because the number is decimal. If we check for the z, it shows the string. Similarly, I'll check for the sets. And here you can see it says set for the d type. And in this way, make sure to check the other ones such as the tuple, list of string, dictionary by yourself. Now let's talk about another concept that's called typecasting. So it's used for operating two data types. So if we have an integer and a string, then performing a plus 1 and b plus 1 will not execute successfully. Let me show you. Now let's define the two variables. A is equal to 5 and b is also equal to 5. And b is equal to a string. And if I print a plus 1, b plus 1. Now let's run it. And as you can see, it says only concatenate string, not an int. So we have to convert this. In order to do that, what you have to do is type simply print a plus 1, then int b, and then plus 1. Now this will convert our string into an integer. Now let's run it. And as you can see, 6, 6. 6 for this and 6 for this. And this concept is called typecasting. And now if you want to learn from me, just message me on my social medias and I'll teach you. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I'll show you how to zoom in out of this. For this, all you have to do, go to File, Preferences, Settings, type here Zoom, and click here. After you check this button, you will be able to zoom in and out. And the second thing was to how to clear this window. Like this, I clear this window. In order to do that, first of all, File, go to Preferences, Keyboard Shortcuts, and type this, Workbench Action Terminal Clear. Once you type this, you will see a plus button along with this. So I have set up it for the Control plus 0 numpad button, and in this way I'm being able to clear this. And now make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the class 3.